This is the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Intermacs User Group webinar. I want to welcome everyone today. It's Wednesday, May 25th, which is hard to believe. I think I know my kids are about to get out of school, so summer's almost officially here. So we'll go ahead today. We're gonna just kind of show you the team at UAB who does all this great work. We have a few updates, and Rama, who's the director of programming and manages the database, the programming, and the wonderful Intermacs dashboard and analytical tools, is going to provide us an update. And then we're just going to do some Q&A since we didn't have a webinar last month. So just want to thank everyone at UAB, the Intermacs and Pedimacs data warehouse, for all their great work. And to let you know that the COVID-19 update, we're still doing televisits. Sites can still do the televisits at your site if you choose to do so. The quality of life surveys may be done over the phone or by mail. I know it's hard to do by mail, hard to get them to mail them back, but if that's how you do them, I know that part's a little frustrating. The follow-up visits, if they're done outside of the visit window, just enter the last date of the follow-up date visit into the database, and sites have 30 days after the follow-up window due date to enter the data for the COVID-19 exception. So today it'll be an open discussion after Rama goes through his dashboard updates. Please use the Q&A function. We'll answer as many questions as possible. And as always, we want your feedback and want to hear from you because you're what makes the database so great. We have some resources here. And just to let you know, the slides are published at sts.org. If you just search the Intermacs or Pedimacs webinar, you'll be able to get the slides from this webinar and also the recording from it. And our next Intermacs user group call will be Wednesday, June 29th, and the reporting webinar will be Thursday, July 21st. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Ramaraju Rudraraju. He's the director of programming, does all, like I said earlier, does all that great work for the Intermacs database and the dashboard. And he's going to give us a few updates, and then after that, we'll have some Q&A. So thank you, Rama. I'll stop sharing so you can share your slides.
Sure. Thanks, Catherine. Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll go. I just wanted to give a brief demo of the dashboard. I'll not go into too many details because we saw some of the features and some of the earlier versions of the dashboard. So I'll just go through the actual demo and then look at both the dashboard and the Captain Mara tool, which we launched last year. So again, the goal of the dashboard is to provide a visual summary of the data entered at the hospital, and we're very happy to see all the sites using it. And it's for providing real-time reporting and for quickly getting aggregate counts and comparison with overall Intermacs. And mainly the reason we developed the dashboard is for being able to compare your hospital data with all of Intermacs, and as for it to be useful as a QA tool and for benchmarking. So as you all know, by this time we added a new menu item on the main screen, so you can click on that to access the dashboard. And the demo for this, we're using a fake hospital X, so there's no PHI involved in the demo. So here are the different sections. So there is the menu at the top, and then there are filters down below, and then we have a legend differentiating between my hospital versus Intermacs, and then there are series of plots below that. So that's the general structure, and these are the main 4 sections of the dashboard. So let's look at each of those. So looking at reported events first. So the main goal of this section is to provide a quick snapshot of what is happening at your hospital, and to get a quick count of the data entry and make sure that all the data entry is accounted for. And the counts on this section are by calendar quarter, and they're counted by event date. So instead of in the past, we have done this scenario. Sorry, excuse me. So in the past, we have looked at these scenarios to see the number of Intermacs patients at my hospital, but I can go through the scenarios. But what we can also do is suggest chat in the, or if you have any questions, or if you have any specific things about each screen, we'll monitor the chat. So if you have about this screen in particular, or if you want me to click on anything, let me know and we can look at that during the demo. So let's see in this screen if I can quickly see the number of Intermacs patients at my hospital in the last 4 quarters, and if we can get a quick count of the number of infections entered at the hospital. So again, here on the screen, we can see the number of active patients, new patients, and also infections. Here are the infections that are entered at my site. So
Rama, we do have, sorry to interrupt, we do have a question.
Sure.
So Cindy's asking, is there a way to review the dashboard by quarters I choose rather than the pre-populated data?
Yeah, currently we have only the quarters that are available, the last 4 quarters, and they're rolling. Being able to choose any quarter is advanced feature that that is in the pipeline, but it's not currently available. Okay. Any other questions about this? Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So the next is the patient characteristics display. The goal of this is to provide a quick visual summary of the patient characteristics and be able to compare site versus Intermacs, and also look at the trends over time. The key point about the calculations on this page is that they're all counted by the first implant date. So whenever the first implant date of the patient is, that's when all the calculations and counts are based on that. So the scenarios for this, so these are just the scenarios that we came up with, are if I want to see my hospital is doing more DT patients compared to Intermacs, we can see if I'm able to answer that question using that display. But also while we're on this page, just let me know if you want to look at any specific scenarios. We can go through that. So under patient characteristics, we have for each of these, we have a series of filters here at the top, and for each of those filters, we have the aggregate counts and also the counts compared to Intermacs. So as you can see, for age groups, for example, at my site, 19 to 39 years is 12.5% in 2021 Q2, whereas Intermacs is 13%. So similarly, we display all the other information. When it comes to device strategy, here we can see that destination therapy at my site is 88% in 2021 Q2, and increasingly it went up to 100% in the last previous 2 quarters. There's a star with 2021 Q1 because this data is still not complete yet because of the reporting lag. So this is 80.7, but this will also, when this data is complete, this should also get up to close to 100%. So this is an interesting trend to learn, so that in the future display, since our site is doing more of DT patients, in all the next sections, we can focus exclusively on DT patients to see those trends. So we can do that now. So let's say we want to apply DT. Now everything down below is updated just for DT patients. So now age groups, gender, and everything is just about DT patients at our site. One more recent feature we added is the site volume. So if I want to compare these characteristics just for the sites that have similar volumes as my site, then what I can do is, so this particular Hospital X site is 0 to 10 implants, falls under 0 to 10 implants. So if I select that, now all the trends I see are just about hospitals with a similar volume. So we can see gender, race. We can also see DT. So now the device strategy. So this is interesting. Looks like this is my site. Looks like overall Intermacs. The sites similar to my site are doing 81.4. I think I have the DT selected here. I don't know. So 81 and then 83. So around 80% for overall Intermacs when we apply that volume filter. Okay. So any questions on this display? You can type them in the chat. If you want me to click on any of the filters, or if you have one specific scenario, be happy to look at that.
I have a question. So I know if a site's falling, let's say like neuro events for Joint Commission, can you focus on that? I see you've got reported events and then the 30-day adverse events and then metric benchmarking.
Sure. Yeah. So let's look at the 30-day adverse events and see if we have neuro. So we have stroke, right? Yeah. So we can go to stroke. And then, so here we can see again by the last 4 quarters, what is the stroke percentage of strokes. So right now, again, we have this site volume selected. So that's why it's showing 0 for my hospital. So let's reapply that so that we are looking at all sites. So now this is the display for 30-day stroke. So 30-day stroke is almost 0 at my site versus 6, 5, and 4 in Intermacs. Does it make sense, Catherine? Does it answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
We do have a question. Is the site volume by quarter or by year?
Yeah, it is by year, and it is actually by the volume that is calculated at the end of 2020. As we have the complete data for 2021, all of that entered, we will update this to 2021, but right now it is 2020. So it's the volume as of end of 2020.
Okay. And then for the metric benchmarking, let's say if they wanted to benchmark their neuro events.
Yeah, so right now what we have for benchmarking.
Oh, you've got the length of stay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so what we have is length of stay and ICU days. So
okay.
Those are the 2 available right now, but yes. Okay, so without going back to the presentation, just as we're already here in the adverse event screen, so these are the different adverse events that are available. So we have a menu of adverse events that are available, and all of them have a similar format. So for example, for mortality, we can see the 30-day mortality patient percent for in the last 4 quarters compared with overall Intermacs. So we can get a quick visualization here where we're doing the Intermacs average is at around 8%, whereas in the second quarter, 2021 Q3, we had a higher mortality percentage, and then it came down again. So that's a trend. Also here, we can again see, since we are doing more DT patients more recently, then we can just apply this and see how this affects. that, and the trends are similar. So this is not a big change. You can also apply the volume filter and see how are we doing compared with 0 to 10 implants. Let's see what happens. So I think even compared to that, the trends are slightly similar, but a bit different. But yeah, so these are the trends for when we compare with site with similar volumes. Okay. So, and rest of the adverse events here that are available here have the same similar format with the table and a graph or a plot charted here. Okay, we have a question says when 2021 will be updated. I'll check with the reporting team and we can let you know. But definitely, I think it is. Yeah, so we can check on the timeline. I'll check with the reporting team and let you know about the exact time when it will be updated.
I think it should be soon because we just had the Q4 report out. So
That's
should be
correct.
June, I would think, but I don't, they'll know more.
Okay, yeah, that's correct, Catherine. Yeah, I think it should be soon, correct. Okay, so, all right, so now the last thing is metrics benchmarking. So the displays we have here, I'm reapplying the site volume so that we look at everything. So we have length of stay and ICU days. So the first section here is length of stay by patient. So similar to the other displays, if you look at just at patient level, if you look at all the patients compared to all the patients at my hospital compared to all patients in Intermacs, we can look at the median length of stay, which is here on this row versus median length of stay at Intermacs. They're not very different. Whereas Intermacs, for some, in the last 2 quarters, I think we did very good. Intermacs median length of stay was 21, whereas at ours, at my site, it was only median was 13. That means it was quite lower than Intermacs. So that's interesting. So this is at the patient level. Now, if you look at the hospital level, if you want to see how are other hospitals doing compared to my hospital, I can see, so we have a box plot here that shows the distribution of how the distribution of length of stay at different at the different hospitals. So the median length of stay is 23.5 at my hospital. So this orange dot is my hospital, and we are slightly above. So somewhere in between. So this is the 10th percentile, and then so slightly above. So within the range. So we are doing we are within the range of this this blocks plot distribution, where a lot of sites fall under. Again, here we can see what happens if I say 0 to 10 implants, and compared to sites with similar volumes as mine, we are so my site is actually above the normal range or the most common range here. And here down below we have the same thing, same plot, but divided by 4 quarters, or separate plot for each quarter.
Rama, we have another question. It's from Patricia. If I click on a data point, would it lead me to the exact patients?
So right now, right now we don't have that feature available. But again, that's one of the features in the list. But yeah, we don't have that available right now.
Right, we're working on that. We're doing like quarterly updates to the dashboard. So we're
also, if
there.
I'm understanding wrong, right now this is aggregated information. So if you click on the data point, it would be hard for that to go to a specific patient, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Thanks, John.
And to chime in, Rama, too, I messaged Brandon with the reports team, and he said that he will take a look at making that volume calculation change.
So we'll get 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay. So, and the ICU days is again very similar to this. So it shows a benchmarking comparison between at a patient level and at a hospital level, and again with any of these filters. Okay. Any other questions about this display or any other displays on the dashboard in general? You're welcome to ask, please. Okay, so just a few things. So we covered all of these metrics. You are able to export any of the pages on the dashboard as a PDF or a PowerPoint. So you can click on the download button here and check any of these options available to download it as PDF, PowerPoint, or a crosstab, which actually gives almost like a CSV file with all the data that is being used in the dashboard, and also as an image. So we can download dashboard and export it in these formats. So quickly, usage statistics. We've seen really good usage on the dashboard. I think the number of hospitals that viewed the dashboard at least once is around 170, and then that viewed more than 3 times is 147, which is really good. And we did a survey on the dashboard, collecting responses about the usability of the dashboard. We have the results of the results from the analysis of the survey. They look really good, and so we really want to thank everybody that responded to the survey. We are compiling those results, and when they're ready, we'll actually look at them and then provide any feedback to the community. So that brings to the Kaplan-Meier tool, which we'll go through quickly. The usage statistics for Kaplan-Meier tool is also, I think more people are using it. So really happy to see that. So there are 92 clicks on the Kaplan-Meier tool. Our number of hospitals that use Kaplan-Meier tool went up to 92, and then that viewed the tool more than 3 times is 47. So to get to the Kaplan-Meier tool, we can go to the reporting tab, and then so here you can click on the outcome analytics, and then here on this page you can see the previous requests that were submitted, or we can create a new request. And here's the Kaplan-Meier page. So I think meanwhile we have a question here. Let me look at that. So I'm new to Intermacs. Is there a site username and password for the dashboard, asking for potential management to see, or does each person have their own username and password for review of the dashboard and reports? It should be the same username and password to access the dashboard, and all the active users at a hospital should have access to the dashboard. So when you log in, if you click on this screen here, that should take you right to the dashboard. Or it's also available under reports. So you can go to the reports page. If you click on the reports page, so from here, you can click on the dashboard or the outcome analytics, which is the Kaplan-Meier tool. Okay, so back to the Kaplan-Meier tool. So this is the initial landing page. So here we can see, can select any cohort here. So single cohort, or comparing 2 cohorts within the site, or a compare cohort at my site with an equivalent Intermacs cohort. And then we have a menu of outcome types. So we can do mortality, transplant, infection, device-related infection, GI bleed, or stroke. So to do 3 quick examples, let's say I want a single cohort at my site, and I want to look at a Kaplan-Meier for that. So I leave all of these here. That means I'm looking at all patients at my site. So let's say if I get a Kaplan-Meier plot for survival. So this is the Kaplan-Meier for survival on a device at my site. There are 851 patients, and then there were 324 events related to survival that went into this Kaplan-Meier. So very, very rapidly we can get this plot. So now if you want to do the same thing, but compare 2 cohorts. So let's say I want to compare male versus female, and then I still want to do mortality. So I can apply male here and female, and I want to compare the 2 Kaplan-Meier plots. So this is not a huge difference, but yeah. So these are the different. So cohort 1 which is male is 670, female is 181, and then here are the Kaplan-Meier plots for both. And we also have the p-value and the confidence intervals are 70% confidence limits. Now the third is, again, let's say I want to compare everything, like all patients. I'm taking out the male filter here. And then I want to compare all the patients and compare with overall Intermacs. So if you say game plot, so Intermacs is in blue, and then my site is in orange. So this is the Kaplan-Meier plot for overall Intermacs versus my hospital. I can also apply any of the filters. So for example, if I want to see only 80 plus, so let's say there is a 80 plus year patient, or and then we want to look at the outcomes for my site versus overall Intermacs. So I can do that. So it looks like there's a huge confidence range here, because there were only 4 patients at my hospital, whereas in Intermacs there are 188. So you can quickly see the overall experience of Intermacs for a patient with 80 plus years, and then compare that with my hospital's experience and what happened to them. So, so this is a quick, again, a quick run through or a demo for the Kaplan-Meier tool. Any questions, or if you want me to do any or click on any of these options or do any specific things, please can either type in the Q&A, or be happy to look at that.
Yeah, this is a very unique, the outcome analytics. It's a really great tool. I can say, if anyone's listening and you would like training on this, or to go over more detailed training, we can definitely arrange that. So you can just let me know, or Patricia know. But thank you, Rama.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Catherine. And then, yeah, we are like, we monitor the usage of this, and then we're very happy that like more and more people are using these tools. But like Catherine said, we're happy to provide any support for this. And also, if you have any scenarios that you have been using at your site while using the dashboard or the Kaplan-Meier tool, and if you'd like to share that with the group, we'll be very happy to, and we'll be very interested to learn or look at those scenarios. So we'll really appreciate if you have anything to share on that.
Rama, someone's asking, can I only look at 1 year survival?
1 year survival. Okay, so let's look at this plot. So here it actually gives survival. This is time post implant in months. So here is, if you want a survival at 1 year, so this is actually here is 20 months. So we can from this plot we can derive the survival at 1 year, which is almost at the half at this time point. So this will be this 1 year survival. So one of the shortcomings of this is that we can add a table, like in standard Kaplan-Meier displays. We can add a table down here to show the survival at different time points on this plot. So to make it more explicit, that is one of the features we're working on. And when that is available, you'll be able to see a table here that shows survival at different time points. But that's a very good point and a very good question. So to answer that, yeah, right now it is you can derive that from here, so that you can see the 1 year survival is close to 80% or close to 75. But when we add that table, it'll be more explicit. Okay, thanks.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rama.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And exciting news, because Pedimacs is going to have access to their own dashboard that'll be launched this fall at AQO.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So the Pedimacs will be able, it'll be very similar to the Intermacs dashboard. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to, definitely.
Anyway, thanks, Catherine. Thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Thank you, Rama. Appreciate it. And appreciate all the work that you and your team do. So now I think we're just going to take some questions and answers regarding Intermacs or Pedimacs. Well, while we're waiting for some questions, I do want to say, Emily, I see that you're on here. Do you want to talk about the audits and how there's going to be a slight delay? Or can I discuss that for the sites that are being audited? So I'll go ahead and Carol, if you're on, if I misrepresent anything, please let me know. So I know the audit notices went out a couple of weeks ago, and we've made a couple of changes to the audit policy. So there's going to be, there is a slight delay. I know HMS said they would get back to all the sites within 10 days, and we're just waiting on some of the audit policy to be finalized with those changes in it before HMS, the auditing company, contacts all the sites again. So if you haven't received a response, we apologize for the delay, but you will be, they will be contacting you as soon as we get this audit policy finalized. And just a reminder for those sites that did receive an audit notice, if you're going to go and change any data, you probably need to already have done so or gone in and made any edits, because it's really close to when the data set's going to be cut off and frozen. And so any changes that you make in the database, you need to go ahead and get on those and make them and save them.
I'll be pulling that data the morning of June 1st, which is next Wednesday.
Okay, thanks, Sean. So you've got till what, May 31st to make any edits and any changes, if you're going to make them. And just so you know, regarding the audits, the variable list is listed on the STS website. That's at sts.org. If you just search audits, you'll see that information. Oh, yes. Thank you, Cynthia. What about the audits that have been done already and we had questions? Yes, thank you, Cynthia. So there were sites that were audited, the sites that were audited last year. There were a couple of issues. I know Cynthia, HMS and STS, we worked with your site. We understand that we've made some changes. That's why the announcement of making any edits to the data, we have a deadline that will help. And I think the other thing will help is at the hemolysis and right heart failure, their own events currently.
Can I answer this one about tips to prepare for the audit?
That'd be great.
Yeah, we're putting up a, HMS has provided us with a video that we're putting actually up on the website right now. Our marketing team's helping with that. So they kind of go through the steps of what the uploader, what they're looking for. So that will be on there, and I can provide a link here. And then I want to just follow up with Cynthia, or anyone from the audit last year. Unfortunately, the audit season has closed for the 2021 season, so we won't be able to review anything from those audits at this time. But if you're audited in 2022, we are gonna have like an interim process where sites will be able to communicate with the auditors and go over some challenges or anything that has happened in the middle of the audit. We implemented this because we did hear back from data managers, and we just want to make good nice steps in the future to be able to correct anything or help you out. So thank you.
Thanks, Emily. And I know for the Intermacs and Pedimacs, it's very different from the way that y'all were audited. It's not me or Janella or Gail doing the audits, and we focused a lot on events. So this is very different, but I think after you see the video, and HMS is happy to answer any questions, and Emily's a great resource because she's our audit expert. So if you have any questions, please ask. And we did learn, I would say we did learn a lot from the audit last year from Intermacs and Pedimacs, and so we did make some changes. One thing I do want to say, do want to let the sites know, and Patricia, you can add to this if you'd like. We are updating, we're making changes. I know with the updated adverse events that went into effect last fall, we're making some updates specifically to the infection form, right heart failure, and respiratory failure in the neuro form, just to make it a little more granular and easier to understand, adding some options, because I know we've had so many questions about right heart failure, and then the way that the infection form is set up specifically for patients that have pneumonia. So we are working on that to provide more descriptors regarding the infection, specifically pneumonia. And yeah, so those changes should be coming this summer.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to the neuro form, we're gonna have another type so that the falls and the traumatic events can be captured.
Yes, thank you. We did add a new type, yes. And I think that'll be really helpful to the sites. But as always, if you have any suggestions or any updates, or if any of the forms aren't clear, please let us know, Patricia or I know, and then we'll definitely take that to the task force and see about making any updates or any changes, because we want to make it, it's clear to you all when you're entering the data and as convenient as we can, because I know it's a lot of data that y'all enter. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to have any questions, but if you have any questions regarding, there's one. If you do have any questions regarding the dashboard or the outcome analytics tool, you can email Patricia and I, and we can get you set up with doing a training, or we can certainly forward your question to Rama. Has it been looked at for comorbidities to be carried forward? I'm not for sure, Cynthia, I understand your question.
I'm wondering, Catherine, if she means like if they put something on the comorbidities form on the 6th month, could it carry over to the 1 year?
Oh, gotcha.
Like to pre-populate it?
Right. That would be great. Okay. Thanks for that. We have Rama. I mean, it's your programming. So have you guys thought about that?
Yeah, so Catherine, we do that in some places like address, for example, we carry forward. So if that's okay with in terms of data entry, then yeah, we can discuss that about to work that into our development schedule.
Okay, great. So there you go. That's how it works. We'll talk about it on our call Thursday, Rama, and look at it and see what it'll take to get that done.
Sure, yes.
Because I think that will be really helpful.
Okay.
And I know another thing that would be helpful is that when you're adding a device and you have to complete the whole pre-implant form over again. So, excuse me. So I know we've tossed around ideas on pre-populating that form also.
Okay.
But the comorbidities being carried over, it's a great idea, and that's definitely something that they can do.
Sure.
Well, just a reminder, you can find this, the slides and the recording on the STS website, and you can just search the Intermacs webinar. We do have our Pedimacs resource, Intermacs and Pedimacs resources. You can always email Patricia and I directly, which is what we would, you can email us with any questions, or you can use these site or use these emails too for questions. I think that's it, if we don't have any more questions. And just so everyone knows, we have our next webinar, like I'd mentioned earlier, will be on the user group call will be June 29th. And I think we're going to have Dr. Pagani and Dr. Kirkland on that call on this webinar. And then we have our reporting webinar July 21st. But if you have any questions about the reporting, the reports, you can always email Maceo Cloget or Patricia and I, and we can get in touch with Maceo and Ryan for the great work they do on the reports. But I want to thank everyone for joining, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Catherine, good job, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, JB.